Hey, hope you're absolutely awesome. Do you know what? I want to give you 4 things that I've learned over the past 13 years of traveling all over the world and living in places like Bali, Australia, New Zealand, California, the UK, all over the world, and working with clients from billionaire royal families to people who've earned $10-20 million a year, or actors putting them on TV sets, or Hollywood producers, or professional fighters in cages, and absolutely entrepreneurs. And what I know is there's 4 key things that you need to understand right now to get control of your mind. Because if you control your mind, you control the way you feel. You do that, you control that peak state that you step in and out of to perform. Therefore, you control your results. Now, the thing about that is, the first thing you got to understand is about your conscious and unconscious mind. And the thing is about your conscious mind is you've got to understand is that most people don't know what the hell it is for, right? Even classical psychologists who are dealing with just talk therapy. Do you know somebody, maybe it's you, I don't know, but do you know somebody who's been in therapy for years over the same issue? Right, because we're just dealing with talk therapy, and people don't understand what the conscious mind is for. But you do have a conscious, unconscious mind. What I want to be able to give you is a toolbox, right? It's a toolbox to catch these patterns. It's a toolbox to change this self-talk. It's a toolbox to change your focus right there in a moment and step into the world-class version of you, right? Who teaches you that? Nobody, but you need that toolbox. You also need to understand my definition of what the unconscious mind is. And if you hear this anywhere else, well, you know it's come from me. It's the software that plays in the background of your head. That's like the software that plays in the background of a computer. What the hell does that mean, right? Well, it means it runs automatically, it gets outdated, and it makes you or your computer perform a certain way, right? Think about that, right? So everything that's going on in your life, your beliefs, your attitudes, your results you're getting, guess what? Yeah, it's all on autopilot. The way you think about the future, the past, it's all on autopilot. So when we start to give you this conscious toolbox, you can start to catch these patterns, right? This is what the mental control starts to be able to become a multi-millionaire. That's the point, right? So what's the next thing you need to know? Well, you need to understand about these things in your brain. You know, the things that make up your brain? They're called neural nets, right? The hell does that mean? And why are you telling me that, Andy? I get it. But why you need to know that is because you need to understand they work just like a muscle. Plain and simple. And what that muscle does is it either builds what you don't want or it builds what you do, right? And if your unconscious mind's on autopilot playing all the things you don't want around money, success, health, happiness, the scalability of this business, how fast it can happen. Well, if you don't know what those patterns are, then guess what? You can't change them. And that's what I want to be able to give you. That's what Mindset by Design is all about, making you world class, right? So what's the next thing? Understand that these are a muscle. And yes, you are pumping what you want or what you don't want, right? So guess what we want to change? We want to be able to give you the ability to lift this world-class version of you anytime, any day, whenever you want it. Sounds good, right? So think about this. Your conscious, unconscious mind. You know about neural nets, that they're a muscle. So what else do you need to know? You need to know what's something I call my dirty little secret. It really is. It's how I create rapid change with anyone on the planet, and I want to help you do the same thing. It's the power of your filter system in your brain. You've got to understand, your filter system works like Gmail, right? I'll use this example, I've used it many times before, but it works like Gmail. And what that means is that you get flooded with information through your 5 senses every single second. What happens with Gmail? You get flooded with emails every single day, right? So what happens is Gmail goes, you don't want to see those. It deletes them, and it gets rid of stuff, and what appears in your inbox is what it thinks you want to see. That's the same with your brain. You've got to understand that when you're living life and walking around each day, there's so much that's happening that you don't see. It's just that your brain is set for you to see a certain life, a certain results, a certain type of money, a certain type of success, a certain way you feel and think about yourself. All of this is connected to your filter system, right? And so the old you has a certain way of looking at the world with certain results. The new you has a certain way of looking at the world and getting results. Which one is the neural nets that's on autopilot? That becomes your choice. Over here, the old you, what does that do? Well, it keeps getting stuck, right? Keeps sabotaging yourself. You keep not having self-confidence. You keep having anxiety. You keep having lack of confidence. Over here, the thing that we've got to build for you, well, guess what? That's excitement. That's passion. That's intensity. That's laser focus. That's understanding how to get what you want and be in control of your mind and your emotions on a daily basis, right? Starting to make sense? So what's the fourth thing? Something called modeling. And I don't mean modeling isn't you got this cool background that, hey, no, it doesn't mean that, man. It doesn't. Modeling in NLP, or neuro-linguistic program, something I'm an expert at, is, well, I'll explain it through a story, right? A quick story. I know you're going to put it with my funny accent, but a quick story is, I remember when I first started on this journey going back to 13 years ago in Sydney in Australia. And I started out in sales. That's where I first learned NLP, was in sales, right? And got very good at it. Inside of 6 months, I was a top performer in Australia. Then we got headhunted to New Zealand. And the rest is history. I don't know if you know my story, but go to mindsetbydesign.co/about and you'll find out, right? Building resorts and all things like that. But the thing you got to understand about modeling is I didn't get good at modeling, right? Until I decided to take things serious. Until I decided to step up. And let me explain what modeling is. It's also called copying, right? But in NLP and being world class, we do things at a next level. And what do I mean by that? I want you to understand you're modeling or copying someone's unconscious responses. The hell does that mean again, right? So let me explain. When I decided to be brilliant at sales, I committed to it, I decided to it. That was the first step, right? And then I asked my manager, going back at the time, I want to go on tour or follow the top performer in the country. Top performer. And guess what? I did. And I started to watch them closely. I started to watch how they spoke, the tonality, the pace, the pitch, the timbre in the voice. How many times they touched the client, where did they touch them on the arm? What was going on? What questions they asked at the right time. And I started to learn all this and started to watch or model, right? Model a mentor. And these are programs that we've got inside the academy and all things like that. But for you right now, understand, we have a conscious, unconscious, the filter, right? You understand these things in here as a muscle. And now we put yourself around people that you aspire to be like. If you could find people who are 10 or 15 years ahead of you in your game that you're doing, then guess what? You're gonna fall time. You're gonna get so much faster to where you wanna go. And that's what happened to me. So suddenly, I looked at that lady, realized she was good, but I was just as good. I just didn't know, right? And so suddenly my filter changed. So my reality changed. The muscle changed. So my reality changed. I started to recognize these old patterns. Instead of being anxious and nervous, I knew I was good as that person. So suddenly I became that state. And so those, I can go on forever. I can go on for a long time and in depth about all this. But today I just wanted to introduce you to those 4 key things, right? These 4 key things that I've identified over 13 years of working with people's brains, mindset, and performance. And I want to give you the same thing to you. So write your comments below. There's a lot more I can go into, but I just want to know what your comments are, so I can do some more videos for you, right? So whether you're an entrepreneur, an athlete, whatever it is, this is all relevant to you. So write the comments, get yourself over to Mindset by Design, and check out how we can help you today.